What is going on, you guys? Today I am coming to you with a Veers Vader combo list. I'm going to be using Fab's Legion generator. Today he has gotten this kind of working, and so we're going to take a look at it. It's got some of the beta stuff in here. So we've got Veers available, and this is an interesting builder. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to it down in the description below. But what you can do here is you just come over and you click on free and manual, and you can kind of build whatever you want. The other thing that you can do is you can modify, tell it how much you own, and it'll build you a list automatically. But I don't really prefer random lists, so I want to just build my own list. I also do want to remind you guys that there is a round of the giveaway going on right now where you can win Veers or an expansion of your choice in the form of a $20 Cool Stuff gift card. And the only thing you need to do to enter that giveaway is to become a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. So we are going to start off with two commanders, Darth Vader, and we're going to add him. And we're going to also add Veers. This is the only thing I'm not super crazy about with this builder, is that currently you just have pictures of the minis as opposed to the actual card itself, but I think that is coming. So let's talk about what's going to make this build unique. Now, I think with Veers we have a couple of different ways. Veers is primarily a vehicle commander, and I think if you're going to run Veers, I think there's two different ways that you can run him. I think you can run him with more of an ATST focus right now, or more of a speeder bike focus. And of course you can use some of both, but I think you're probably going to lean more one way than the other. And I think since we have Vader, which we already have a 200-point unit, I don't think we're going to also add ATSTs to this list, because this list right here, then it would be way too expensive. So that being said, I think our focus is probably going to be on speeder bikes. But let's outfit Vader. There's some other things that are interesting things that are going to come from this build, and that is also that for the first time, you're going to have to really make some decisions on which command cards you want to use. So Vader, we are going to give Vader Saber Throw. Saber Throw is really nice on Vader because it does work with Relentless, so he can move and then make a 3-dice attack with Pierce 3. Really good, really good card. And so and also the helper text is updated here when you mouse over these. But also I want to give him Force Reflexes. Force Reflexes is one of those free actions that is going to give him a dodge token. And since Vader has Master of the Force, he's going to be able to refresh one exhausted card every turn. And since he only has one that needs to be spent, which is Force Reflexes, he's going to get a free dodge every turn when you activate him. Dodge is really important for Vader. That gives him his defensive surge and also allows him to deflect. So that's important. Now Veers, since Veers, I said we were going to be going with a speeder bike, focused build, we're going to give Veers, we have Esteemed Leader and Commanding Presence right now. I'm going to give him Commanding Presence. And what that's going to do is it's going to let him issue orders at range 4. So when he gets those, those command cards that want to give him bonuses to vehicles, the speeder bikes may be a little bit farther away, and this is going to allow him to kind of still stay safely in the back, but give those orders out extra far away. That being said, let's add some more stuff. So we do need Stormtroopers. We're going to add, you have to have at least 3, but I'm going to add more than that. We're going to add a couple of blank ones. We're going to go with our 3 basic Stormtroopers, and they're just going to be for objectives. I'm going to add a 4th unit, and I'm going to give them a little bit more. They're going to be my heavier shooting unit. I'm going to add the extra Stormtrooper, and then I'm also going to add a DLT-19. So we're going to do that. So I think, let me mark that out. T7 Ion Snowtrooper. So the Snowtrooper can't be added to the Stormtrooper. That's Snowtrooper only. So we'll just have to give Fab a little update and say, hey, you've got the Snowtrooper showing up as a heavy weapons for the Stormtrooper. That can't go on there. Okay, so now basically, Veers has Spotter, so he can hand out aim tokens, and that's really nice for, really heavy hitter units. so he can hand out aim tokens to our. So we want at least one real heavy hitter. This is going to be that unit. I mean, we've also got Vader, for example, and our speeder bikes, that we're going to add. But this is a Stormtrooper unit that's going to be rolling lots of dice and will really take advantage of an aim token. As a matter of fact, they're so full they could potentially take 2 aim tokens and re-roll. They're going to have 6 units there, and they're going to be rolling 7 dice. So if they had 2 aim tokens, they could re-roll 6 dice because they're of precise. All right, so now we got to add some speeder bikes. We want some vehicles for Veers, so we're going to add the 74Z speeder bikes. Now, I'm not thinking that I'm going to add anything. They only have the comm upgrade, and the only we don't really need long range comm link because Veers has commanding presence. So if you look at the price, it's 10 points or 10 points. This one would just let that one get at their command, at anywhere. But commanding presence, allows him to potentially, issue all of his commands at slightly longer range. So I'd much rather use commanding presence than a long range comm link. Comms jammer could potentially work, but I don't think we're going to have the points for that. As I want to go with 3 speeder bikes, and that is going to put us up to 796. And that is just about there. One of the things we could do is we could give our, maybe grappling hooks to one of these units. I could give it to the big, to the awesome unit. But I think what I'll do instead is I'll give it to one of my other units. So in case they need to go after an objective, they can climb and get into weird places without having to worry about being a shooter. I think these guys are going to be more focused on shooting than climbing. And that's what we're going to do. But you know what? Actually, on the other hand, I'm going to take it off and I'm going to give it to them. And here's why. In a recent couple of games, I've seen some people clamor without grappling hooks and manage to do it just fine. But the problem is the more units you have, the more likely you are to lose units. The more minis you have, the more likely you are to lose units. So I think grappling hook is actually better on a larger unit if we're going to do that. Plus, we had the points. Because, my regular Stormtroopers, I'm looking at the picture there and I'm thinking, oh, they have 7 guys. No, they only have 4. Each one of these Stormtrooper units only has 4, so they can just clamor and not really have to worry about losing units. So our heavy hitters here are Darth Vader, this big Stormtrooper unit, and then the 3 speeder bikes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 distance shooters and 1, seal the deal Darth Vader. That's not too shabby. We do need to look at command cards next. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We have command cards here, so we're going to actually add them to the build right here. First off, we have to have standing orders. That's a requirement. That one is no problem. That one's a given. We need to also add 2 of each other pips. So we're going to add 2 1 pips. Now we have a choice of 3. Now, you might, at a glance, look at this and say, well, naturally, I'm just going to add Veers' 3 and Vader's 3. And while that's something that you could totally do, there's a risk associated with that. The big risk is if for some reason you lose Vader and then you lose Veers, now all of a sudden you have only standing orders that you can play. If this Stormtrooper over here gets nominated to be your next commander, they're not going to be able to issue Veers' commands, and they're not going to be able to issue Vader's commands. That being said, you need to think about, well, maybe it's worth having a generic one in there for purposes like that. And also sometimes, the commander-specific ones are very restrictive in who they can activate. For example, Ambush can be any unit, right? But Implacable is only Darth Vader, and Maximum Firepower is only General Veers. So those are things to think about. I am going to go with Maximum Firepower. That's going to be a good first turn play for Veers. And I am going to go with Implacable because it's a really good Darth Vader card. And if he survives later into the game to be able to activate him twice is just great. So, I definitely want to use both of their 1 pips. When we get into the 2 pips, we've got Darth Vader's New Ways to Motivate Them, which is, now this one's restrictive. It's 2 troopers where push is 2 units. And considering I may want to issue orders to speeder bikes, I like the idea of New Ways to Motivate Them not being included. Also because New Ways to Motivate Them is doing self-damage. You're going to hurt your own units if you want to be able to do what they're asking you to do. And I'm not a big fan of that. Granted, there are some certain circumstances where that's huge, but I'd rather not. and evasive maneuvers. So I think I'm going to go definitely evasive maneuvers, right? I want to be able to give those speeder bikes, their dodge tokens, and allow all my speeder bikes to be able to spend a dodge token to cancel critical results. So that one's cool. But I think for the 2-pip, I'm going to go with push. Push can still be useful. It still might end up being used the same way as Vader, but it gives me 2 extra things. It gives me flexibility as far as units that I can activate, because it could activate a speeder bike. But it also gives me flexibility of commander. If I don't want Vader to be able to have to, issue that order, I can make Veers issue that order. If they both die, I can have whoever my new nominated commander issue that order. And it's also high enough, pip that I still might be able to potentially go first. Now, onto the 3rd pip, we've got a couple. We've got Imperial Discipline, Master of Evil, and Assault. So Master of Evil is Darth Vader. This one does activate 3 units. It activates Darth Vader and 2 other units, and when Vader's issued an order, he gains a dodge token, and when Vader activates, enemy troopers gain 3 suppression. So this one's really good. One of the things I love about this one is it gives Vader that dodge token right away, so even if you don't go first, he still has the dodge to keep him alive. So that one is awesome. However, Veers' Imperial Discipline here, when a friendly unit's issued an order, it may recover. Well, that's not quite as good as in this particular build. I like this one better for certain other builds. I like this one, for example, if I'm running ATSTs and I've got maybe, 4 weapons, a really heavily loaded ATST, for example, or Vader with a bunch of force powers that he can't potentially ready all of them each turn. Like maybe he's got multiple exhaustible force powers. So like those would be better for this particular version of Veers, considering, or if I was running rocket troopers with my stormtroopers. Since I'm not running any of those in this build, I can actually pass on Imperial Discipline and go for Assault. I'm still getting the same number of units, because this one is Veers and 2 units. Assault is any 3 units, so Assault in this case is going to give me more flexibility as far as the units that I can activate, because I don't have to activate Veers. And this one is also going to tie in better with Veers' commanding presence to maybe let him activate all 3 74Z speeder bikes. It also gives me flexibility, and maybe I want Vader to issue this order, or maybe if they die, I want my nominated commander to issue this order. So that is it. We're running Maximum Firepower, Implacable, Evasive Maneuvers, Push, Master of Evil, and Assault, and Standing Orders. So this is just kind of a good example of how having multiple commanders is going to change your command hand. And but let me know what you guys think there. Don't forget to enter that giveaway. Just become a subscriber, leave a comment on this or one of my videos. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to click that little bell for alerts, because that's going to keep you up to speed on whenever I publish new content. I also got the community tab going on right now, so take a look in there, and maybe we'll be having polls or a discussion on some older videos, and maybe some old predictions that have come true and things like that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.